It looks like paradise. Palaces with private movie theaters, yachts with Fendi interiors, swimming pools with water slides, and stables housing thoroughbred horses. This isn't a Bond villain's lair. It's a regular Tuesday for Kim Jong Un. With over 17 personal palaces, a $100 million amusement park, and a private island where no one else is allowed to live, North Korea's supreme leader exists in a world few can even imagine. But despite this material excess, one thing defines his life more than luxury: isolation. Today on Sketchy Tunes, we'll be taking a look into a day in Kim Jong Un's isolated life of luxury. The world knows Kim Jong Un as a dictator, a nuclear-armed ruler, surrounded by mystery and orchestrated adoration. He commands one of the most secretive regimes on Earth, yet much of his personal life is cloaked in greater secrecy than his missiles. But behind the palace gates, behind the glossy propaganda and extensive portraits, exists a man living in surreal isolation. An existence defined not by liberty, but by control. A gilded cage of indulgence, surveillance, and fear. This is the paradox of Kim Jong Un's life: immense wealth and authority, yet an existence so tightly managed, so divorced from reality, that it resembles imprisonment more than privilege. A hidden, hyper-controlled, hyper-magnificent world. This is not a character study of a tyrant. It's a profile of a profoundly lonely individual shaped by destiny, fear, and artifice. Kim Jong Un was born into secrecy and indoctrinated in legacy. His childhood wasn't simply privileged, it was the thing of dreams. From infancy, he lived in lavish compounds designed not just for comfort, but for surveillance. These palatial homes had bowling alleys, movie theaters, private zoos, and dozens of caretakers. But none of it fostered normalcy, and his loneliness began early. Multiple bodyguards and soldiers supervised Kim around the clock. According to defectors, he was discouraged from mingling with other children, denied unsupervised play, and raised with the constant reinforcement that he was special. Described by a former bodyguard as stressed and angry as a child, he had no one to talk to his own age and was instead surrounded by adults, private chefs, tutors, and security officers. There were pet monkeys in his gardens, but no fellow children in his life. This social deprivation may have shaped his explosive temper and emotional detachment, the marks of someone who, from an early age, learned how to control, but not how to connect. In his teens, Kim studied hard, but under a false identity. His education abroad, supposedly at the private international school of Bern and later the Liebfeld-Steinholzli State School, both in Switzerland, offered a glimpse of a freer world. Yet even there, he was chaperoned by older students, thought to be bodyguards, and enrolled under false names: Chol Pak or Pak Chol, and Pak Un or Un Pak. Surrounded by Western privileges and prerogatives, but still cut off from his peers, he learned one lesson above all others: his survival depends on the dynasty, not democracy. Observers noted his aloof demeanor and obsession with basketball. There was even a rumor that he was once caught with a bondage pornographic magazine in his book bag. After exposure to democracy, individualism, and Western culture, Kim returned to North Korea, deeply aware of how fragile loyalty can be. He slipped into the dynastic mold, a chosen heir trained in cruelty, masked as patriotism. And anyone could be perceived as a threat, from his siblings to his extended family, to his past friends and lovers who knew anything that could be used against him. He was groomed not to understand people, but to rule them. Power for Kim doesn't just isolate him from his people. It separates him from his top officials, who live in shabby apartments near his mansions, but can only visit by invitation. According to psychologists, power can breed deep cynicism. Even when people show kindness, Leaders like Kim Jong Un could pick out manipulation from that. Those leaders are admired, obeyed, feared, but never truly known. And studies show that loneliness doesn't always mean being alone. It means feeling alone, even in a room full of people. It triggers hypervigilance, paranoia, and a worldview shaped by threat, something that we see in Kim's rule. Every public moment is staged, every tree planted, every handshake with another political leader, every nuclear summit, they're all carefully curated to tell a story. Kim Jong Un is strong. Kim Jong Un is in control. Kim Jong Un is revered. Because dictators like him don't just control people, they control reality. Philosopher Hannah Arendt once put forward the idea that loneliness is a political tool. It severs people from the truth and from one another, until the only relationship that matters is their one to the state. On paper, Kim Jong Un has everything: a multi-million-dollar yacht, a private ski resort, a home base with an artificial lake carved into a mountain, rare liqueurs, exotic food, designer everything. He reportedly has access to at least 17 lavish residences scattered across the nation. Each compound is a mini fortress: anti-aircraft defenses, underground bunkers, private runways, and armed guards. Residences include the Ryongsong Residence, also known as Residence Number 55, the main palace. This expensive complex spans approximately 12 square kilometers, equipped with hot springs, horse stables, entertainment halls, and even a water park. The Wonsan Beach Resort, a seaside getaway with luxury yachts, a personal runway, private beaches, imported palm trees, and a dolphinarium. The Mount Myeohyang Complex, a forested retreat with high-tech bunkers and panoramic villas. Each location is obsessively secured. Kim never announces where he'll be. Transportation is randomized. He'll take the train one day and hop on a private jet the next. This isn't mere extravagance, it's paranoia translated into architecture. His homes symbolize more than wealth. They represent psychological insulation. Each fortress is a way to shield himself from both physical threat and emotional vulnerability. True fulfillment, research shows, comes from purpose, connection, and meaning, things that Kim's world is designed to avoid. Psychologists warn that this kind of hedonistic materialism is nothing but a trap. Kim may be surrounded by treasure, but he becomes an emptier shell of a man with each passing gift. Luxury, in his case, doesn't liberate, it insulates. His homes are not palaces, they're cocoons, designed to protect, but also to isolate. Hannah Arendt and other political theorists of the modern day described loneliness as the lifeblood of totalitarianism. If you isolate people, you will easily be able to sever their ability to challenge or relate. It applies not only to the ruled, but the ruler. Kim Jong Un may preside over a sea of loyalists, but his own interactions are governed by fear and ritual. Reports suggest even top generals bow multiple times, avoid eye contact, and speak in rehearsed tones. He is surrounded, yet utterly alone. Power, especially autocratic power, transforms every relationship. Subordinates become sycophants. Family members become threats. Even acts of kindness are suspect. Paranoia is not a flaw in dictatorships. It's a main feature. Kim's inner circle is small, rigid, and constantly shifting. His uncle, once a powerful advisor, was executed. His ex-girlfriend, rumored to be quietly killed. Advisors, cycled in and out, rarely building lasting influence. Despite her relatively frequent appearances alongside Kim Jong Un in North Korean state media, Ri Sol-ju remains one of the most mysterious first ladies in the modern world, adding another layer to his complex life. Her life, past and present, is tightly controlled and carefully curated by the regime, offering the public only fleeting glimpses that reveal very little about the person behind the orchestrated image. According to South Korean intelligence and defector testimonies, She is believed to have been born in the early 1980s or early 1990s, and is thought to have once been a singer with the Unhasu Orchestra, a prestigious musical group in North Korea often associated with elite social circles, which is probably how she met Kim. But her musical background itself has led to speculation. Was she selected by Kim Jong-il, Kim Jong-un's father, for his son in a dynastic match to consolidate internal loyalty among cultural elites? Or was their marriage a rare instance of personal choice, subsequently manipulated by state propaganda to present an image of unity, normalcy, and charm? Ri Sol-ju's emergence onto the political stage came without warning. In 2012, she was first publicly introduced as Kim's wife during a visit to an amusement park. State media referred to her only by the name and title Comrade Ri Sol-ju, with no additional background or context. Their union allegedly happened after Kim Jong-il suffered a major stroke in 2008. According to intelligence leaks, the elder Kim sought to fast-track Kim Jong-un's image as a family man and a mature leader. Marrying Ri Jol-soo was part of this strategy. She quickly became a visible figure during military inspections, diplomatic events, and public celebrations. Her presence was an aesthetic shift for North Korea, introducing a softer visual element to an otherwise rigid, militaristic regime. Since then, she's been a strong presence by Kim's side, often appearing at official events and state functions, titled as the Respected First Lady. Despite her public appearances, Ri's life also remains shrouded in secrecy. The visibility she's allowed is paradoxically shallow. North Korean state media rarely refers to her more than a few times a year. Her appearances often coincide with major national holidays, military parades, or diplomatic events. Then she vanishes from public view, sometimes for months. Each absence ignites speculation. Is she ill? Pregnant? Has she fallen out of favor with her husband and the state? This opaque treatment only reinforces the sense that Ri Sol-ju is both essential and expendable, a symbol more than a partner. We know very little about her role in Kim's personal life, but what we can infer is telling. Sources suggest that she lives in luxury, but under strict constraints, with limited freedom and constant surveillance. Former high-level defectors have described the lifestyle of the ruling family as gilded but paranoid, where even family members are monitored and trust is an illusion. Her movements are restricted, her past erased, her public voice absent. She is simultaneously wife, ornament, and political tool. Her past has been meticulously scrubbed from public records, to the point where little is known about her origins, and even her name being agreed upon as almost certainly a pseudonym. She is rarely seen without her family, and even then, rarely seen at all. This controlled existence reflects the broader theme of isolation that permeates her husband's life, extending even to his closest relationships. And yet, Ri Sol-ju's presence seems to offer Kim Jong-un a form of calculated stability. In moments of international diplomacy, such as his summits with President Trump, Ri Sol-ju often appears smiling, poised, offering a visual narrative of domestic calm and emotional balance. But whether she truly shares intimacy with Kim or is merely another participant in the play of power remains unknown. Kim Jong-un's family is perhaps the most secretive ruling dynasty in the world. 3 generations of Kim leadership, Kim Il-sung, Kim Jong-il, and now Kim Jong-un, have cultivated a cult of personality so profound that even within North Korea, facts about their private lives are obscured, exaggerated, or outright fabricated. Outside observers often struggle to confirm even the most basic details. Let's begin with Kim's immediate family. His sister, Kim Yo-jong, is one of the few relatives who plays a visible political role. Often referred to as his deputy or gatekeeper, she serves as vice director of the Propaganda and Agitation Department and is a key figure in maintaining the regime's internal messaging. Unlike Ri Sol-ju, Kim Yo-jong's presence is not decorative, it is strategic. She appears at nuclear test site inspections, international negotiations, and even military briefings. Her political capital rivals that of top generals, suggesting a deep level of trust or mutual dependence between the siblings. But beyond Kim Yo-jong, the family tree blurs into ambiguity. Kim Jong-un supposedly has 3 children with his wife, at least one daughter, Kim Joo-ae, confirmed indirectly when former NBA star Dennis Rodman mentioned holding her during a visit. State media, however, has never named or shown the children publicly. This contrasts sharply with past dynasties. Kim Jong-il, for instance, groomed Kim Jong-un as his successor quietly but definitively. The current supreme leader seems unwilling to expose his offspring, perhaps to shield them from international scrutiny or internal power plays. Or perhaps, in a regime where power is retained through loyalty and fear, exposing a successor too early may invite intrigue and plots. Then there's the ghost of the past, Kim Jong-nam, Kim Jong-un's estranged half-brother. Exiled, then assassinated in Malaysia in 2017 with a nerve agent in a plot widely believed to have been orchestrated by North Korean agents, Kim Jong-nam had been a potential rival to the throne. His murder was not only a chilling reminder of the regime's brutality, it was also a message. The bloodline may be sacred, but only one can rule. Even the women in Kim's extended family, such as his mother, Ko Young-hui, are revered in state mythology, but almost entirely hidden from genuine public knowledge. Ko was a Japanese-born Korean performer and the favored consort of Kim Jong-il. She's occasionally referenced in state materials as the Mother of Korea, but little is known about her influence over Kim Jong-un's upbringing, aside from anecdotal accounts that she doted on him excessively, calling him Morning Star King. Why is so little known about Kim's family? There are multiple reasons, some strategic, some cultural, and some psychological. First, secrecy is a tool of power. The less the world knows about the inner workings of the regime, the harder it is to predict or undermine. A veil of mystique maintains the illusion of omnipotence and control. In a nation that reveres its leaders with quasi-religious devotion, mystery becomes a kind of sanctity. Second, within authoritarian dynasties, knowledge can be a weapon. The more visible a family member is, the more vulnerable they are to manipulation, betrayal, or foreign intelligence. Kim Jong-un rules with absolute authority, and visibility equals risk. Family members who fall out of favor are not simply demoted, they disappear. Third, the psychological dimension. Dictators often cultivate an image of infallibility and detachment. The Kim dynasty thrives on the myth of divine leadership, where the leader is not just a politician, but the living embodiment of the state. Humanizing details, like family struggles, conflicts, or vulnerabilities, undermine that myth. Invisibility becomes a form of insulation. Finally, there's fear. Kim Jong-un's rule is sustained by an atmosphere of dread. By keeping his family members hidden, anonymous, or fabricated, he reduces the chance of them becoming political liabilities or rallying points for dissent. What emerges from this family structure is a chilling paradox. Kim Jong-un lives in vast palaces, surrounded by every imaginable luxury, yet he shares this life with no one, not truly. His wife, veiled in silence. His children, unseen. His half-brother, murdered. His sister, both confidant and potential rival. Even in a house full of people, the supreme leader may be utterly alone. Luxury defines Kim Jong-un's daily existence. His vehicles include Maybachs, Rolls-Royces, and Mercedes sedans, all custom armored. His private jet, a modified Ilyushin IL-62, named Shamai-1, boasts plush white leather interiors, rosewood desks, and crystal ashtrays, with the cigarettes he reportedly smokes costing $44 a pack. His family yacht is 80 meters in length equipped with opulent amenities such as a water slide and an Olympic-sized swimming pool. He owns many expensive watches, from Rolexes to Patek Philippe's, with many actually being banned under sanctions. His fondness for fine dining is catered to by personal chefs, who prepare important delicacies such as the finest Kobe beef, Iranian caviar, and the world's most expensive fruit. For entertainment, he has a private IMAX-style movie theater, a personal music orchestra, and an NBA-themed recreation room. But these are not incidental preferences. They are tools of self-construction. In a nation where citizens starve, Kim envelops himself in symbols of abundance. Materialism becomes performance, a display for internal loyalty and external awe. Yet behind the opulence lies a tragic truth. No amount of luxury replaces love. Studies confirm that overindulgence, especially when isolated, leads to numbness. Like addicts chasing a high, overexposed elites require more to feel less. Luxury can mask emptiness, but it can never cure it. Ruling through fear creates a fragile throne. The dictator must always appear invincible, yet must also fear betrayal from within. This creates a loop of repression. Absolute power corrupts. Corrupt control breeds false loyalty. False loyalty breeds suspicion. Suspicion demands those with absolute power to have more control. Psychological studies of autocrats show consistent traits: distrust, overplanning, narcissism, and isolation. These aren't pathologies, they're survival mechanisms. Kim reportedly micromanages everything, from food presentation to missile designs. Not because he's obsessed with detail, but because he cannot trust delegation. The more powerful he becomes, the more alone he is. After all, the strongest man in the room may also be the loneliest. An hour-by-hour day in the life of Kim Jong Un may look something like this. At 6:30 a.m., Kim wakes up at the Ryongsong residence to a schedule crafted the night before. Servants prepare imported breakfast, possibly Swiss pastries, rare Indian teas, and tropical fruit. At 7:30 a.m., the briefings begin. Aides present sanitized updates. Military status, propaganda metrics, global reactions. Errors are downplayed, victories exaggerated. No dissent is allowed. At 8 a.m., Kim takes a leisurely stroll, accompanied by close aides or perhaps family. The manicured gardens of the Ryongsong residence are still and silent. At 9 a.m., it's time for personal research. Kim may watch foreign news, NBA highlights, or read reports on Western leaders. Analysts believe he's particularly fascinated with U.S. politics and cultural trends. At 11 a.m., Kim may relocate. It's likely that he may board a custom armored train to a coastal compound. Dozens of decoys and backup plans are in play. Each move is treated as a military operation. At 12:30 p.m., it's time for lunch in one of his many dining halls. Dishes are served in courses, often featuring a variety of international cuisine. Conversations are rehearsed. Laughter is cautious. At 2 p.m., Kim has his daily state appearance whilst touring a facility. Locals cry with rehearsed joy. Everything is filmed, edited, and broadcast as proof of love. At 4 p.m., Kim has scheduled time for exercise or leisure. What he does during this period may vary. He might swim in private pools, play video games, inspect his collection of luxury vehicles, or ride imported horses. Some say he sings karaoke. Others claim he practices shooting alone. At 6 p.m., Kim will likely have an evening private strategy meeting. Military heads or scientists join him to review missile advancements or border concerns. Dialogue remains deferential. At 8 p.m., it's time for dinner, a grand affair. Kim often dines in isolation or with his wife, Ri Sol-ju. It might be accompanied by state musicians, or Kim might watch a Hollywood film. He's known to be something of a film buff and a fan of the James Bond movies, dubbed in Korean. His movie theater is said to have reclining velvet seats custom lighting and gourmet snacks. At 10 p.m., Kim will go for a solitary evening walk. Donned in robe and slippers, he walks alone, if you don't count the heavy guard. Artificial lakes shimmer. The night is quiet. At 11 p.m., it's time to rest. Security teams rotate. The palace dims. But sleep may not come easily. Behind the silence, a man trained to rule, conditioned to fear, trapped in a kingdom of his own making. Whilst millions, even in his own country, live in darkness, Kim Jong Un lives in unimaginable, borderline disgusting luxury. But in his $100 million fortress of power, one question lingers. Is he the most enviable man in North Korea, or the most alone? His life is a study in contrasts. A leader who wields absolute power, yet lives in profound isolation. A figure surrounded by luxury, yet deprived of genuine human connection. His existence underscores the paradoxes inherent in authoritarian rule, where control and seclusion go hand in hand. Understanding the intricacies of his daily life offers a window into the complexities of power, isolation, and the human psyche. Kim may be one of the most powerful men alive, but his life is not desirable. It is a portrait of controlled luxury. Vast, yet vacant. He is never alone, but always lonely. He's admired, but never loved. He has palaces, but not peace. The deeper we peer into Kim's world, the hollower it seems. And perhaps that is the greatest irony of dictatorship. To dominate others is to lose yourself.